Test driver Reinhold Deisenhofer says there's a good reason why Audi has come out with its first ever compact sedan. Worldwide, it's the market segment in greatest demand. Buyers in the US and China are especially fond of sloped rears. Germans have a different taste, and we're going to show you whether you'll learn to like it too. It's no coincidence that Audi is presenting its new sedan in Budapest. It's where the model is being built. It's frame option number 3 in the new A3 series, after 3-door and hatchback. To give the family car a sportier look, the engineers have stuck with a lightweight construction. With the smallest engine possible, the 4-door model only weighs 1,250 kilograms. It's plain to see that the compact sedan is part of the A3 series, with the rear clearly the distinguishing feature and focus of attention. But otherwise, the only other commonalities are the headlights, grille and side mirrors. Everything else on the outside has been specially designed. Audi designer Danny Garant says an extra edge has been added to the hood to give it a more harmonious look. The bumpers have a dual-wing element that's custom designed for the sedan, and the fenders are also specially crafted. The wheel arch is a little wider for 19-inch rims, with an undercut edge. That makes for a nice shadow. The basic proportions for the car's frame are completely different. A chrome rim has been added to the door to make sure the car is more levelled and sportier. Here you see the design coming through, with a shadow that starts narrow and widens the further back you go. It's a feature that's unique to this model. Pointed daylight running lamps are a common feature of the A3 series, and a linear look also characterises the tail lights. Test driver Reinhold says the trunk has a volume of 880 litres when the back seats are flipped over. Even when they're left in place, the trunk still has 45 to 60 litres more space than the hatchback or 3-door. The wheels are the same distance apart, but the sedan is 15 centimetres longer. Both the rear passengers and the trunk benefit from the extra length. In terms of technology, the A3 sedan offers plenty of improvements. The A3 sedan is the first car to utilise LTE, the mobile phone standard that's 10 times faster than UMTS. It may be a compact, but the car's features are top class. The navigation system can find available parking spaces on its own, and it can also show the cheapest spots to fill up. The A3 can read your emails aloud, and you can dictate text messages. Another comfort feature is that you can enter your destination in your own handwriting on the touchpad, without ever having to take your eyes off the street. One nice aspect is that in spite of all the technology, the sedan makes do without too many buttons and switches. That makes it easier to keep an overview. Now to the motor, and Audi offers 2 gas engine options and a diesel. We've tested the stronger gas engine capable of 132 kilowatts. It gets its strength from 1.8 litres displacement and can reach a maximum engine torque of 250 Newton meters. That means acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.3 seconds. Like the other A3 models, the compact sedan offers the option of progressive steering, which makes taking the curves both safer and smoother. Test driver Reinhold Deisenhofer says anyone riding in the A3 sedan could be mistaken for thinking they're in the A4 or A6 class, because the A3 combines top model luxury with top model feel and technology, but at a competitive compact price. So maybe the Germans will in fact learn to love it. An even sportier S3 version with all-wheel drive and 221 kilowatts of power is also due to be launched soon. Today, Sasha's testing the BMW Z4. This model's equipped with the Sdrive 35IS, which means he's got the sports transmission and a 250 kilowatt engine. Buyers have to put a lot of money into the car. It costs just under 70,000 euros, so the fun doesn't come cheap. The Z4's been around since 2002. It's in direct competition with the Audi TT and the Mercedes SLK, but both of those cars have higher sales figures than the BMW. The price could be a factor in that. Sasha says that on hot days, having a convertible is great, especially the Z4, because you can open it while driving up to speeds of 40 kilometers per hour. With its powerful engine, the Roadster can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.8 seconds. Fuel consumption is listed at a very optimistic 9 litres per 100 kilometers. That's probably not the case in practice. From one look at the Z4's body, its BMW heritage is obvious. The front of the car is classic BMW. The headlights are stocked with xenon bulbs. Under the hood, a mighty 250 kilowatt engine rumbles away, producing up to 450 newton meters of torque. The car's recently had a facelift. The new version is longer, flatter and sportier. Just a few changes have had a big effect. Between the LED lights on the rear, the car's trunk doesn't hold much. Anyone transporting a lot of luggage should look elsewhere. Sasha says naturally the car can't have a big trunk, and that's how it is. There's 380 litres of space, but if you bring the cover down where the top folds in, that goes down to 180, which is practically nothing.
Das ist praktisch nichts.
The inside looks good, as it should on any BMW. In the centre is a fold-out monitor. It controls the BMW connected drive system, which allows the driver to use the internet, among other things. The important controls are all on the central console, close to the automatic gear shift. And it features leather seats. You might struggle to fit a shopping bag in the Z4, but who cares when it handles like a dream and has such an enormous engine? However, one drawback is that the car's emissions make it a bad choice for the ecologically minded. So what does Sasha think of the BMW Z4? He's driven the 35IS model with the 250 kilowatt engine. In theory, it's supposed to use 9 litres of fuel every 100 kilometres, but Sasha thinks that's probably a low estimate. Its efficiency rating is F. Given that efficiency ratings go from A+ through A, B, C, D, E, F and G, that means this car has the second worst efficiency rating. So it's not a car that you should drive around the block too often.
Und somit sollte man ihn nicht unbedingt allzu häufig durch die Gegend fahren.
Mercedes have unveiled their new S-Class. The new range sets the standard in technology and comfort. It includes both long and short wheelbase models. The cars come with diesel or 2 different petrol engines, with the more powerful versions producing 335 kilowatts of power. A hybrid model is also available. A basic diesel model will set German buyers back almost €80,000. With a touch of the screen, the car's on its way. Volvo has shown off its new assistance system at the Storeholm test track in Sweden. Started by an app on a smartphone, the system enables the car to park itself after finding a spare parking spot on its own. And if anyone walks in front of the vehicle, it pumps the brakes. The system takes the load off for day-to-day driving and makes the road a safer place. But for now, it's still uncertain when the system and vehicles will go on sale. This is the dream of every classic car fanatic. An underground garage chock full of vintage automobiles. And the best part is, every single one's for sale. The garage functions as a showroom for these beauties. Jens Zeldrecht fulfilled a lifelong ambition when he opened the shop. He says he's always had antique cars and driven them in tours and rallies. He bought and sold cars like it was a card game, mostly Italian cars. He says when he moved to Hamburg, he decided that instead of taking his cars to a dealer, he could do it himself.
Und habe mir gedacht, anstatt die Autos mal zu Händlern bringen, kann ich es auch selber, wäre ich selber Händler.
Jens has a huge array of classic cars available at reasonable prices. Most of them are from the 60s and 70s, but he has some newer models too. If this Renault R15 isn't your thing, there'll be another four-wheel gem around the corner tempting you to part with your money. Jens likes to operate at prices of up to €30,000 and sometimes even under 10,000. He tends to buy well-kept cars that haven't had too much restoration work. Jens is trying to find a buyer for this TVR. It's got something special under the hood. It's a 5-litre V8 engine from a Ford Mustang, which could push out 300 horsepower. We want to see it in action, so current owner Karl Turner takes it for a spin. TVR released the M series in 1972, first with a 2.5-litre 6-cylinder engine made by Triumph. Later, that was replaced by a 3-litre V6 Ford engine for the 3000M model. Tester Robert Tomizzi asks Karl why he put an even bigger engine into the car. Karl says he'd always dreamed of having a 3000M, perhaps with a Ford V8 motor. So when he had to restore the engine, he decided to put in the 8-cylinder motor. TVR also later released a factory-made 8-cylinder model, but only 20 were produced. They served as Karl's inspiration for this souped-up version of the TVR 3000. The long, flat grille and the short rear end are typical TVR traits. And like all of their cars, it's built with a fiberglass chassis. In a car like this, Robert wants to put his foot down, but as it's up for sale, he's taking it easy. Robert's driven many cars, but this has a light frame and a fat V8 at the front with 300 horsepower, so he says it deserves respect. Roman says the car handles surprisingly well around the bends. He doesn't feel like it's overpowered or unsteady. He thinks the car runs very well considering it's 35 years old. Until it was split up in 2006, TVR was a small but successful sports car maker based in Blackpool, England. Robert thinks it's terrible that TVR isn't making cars anymore. He says the company was taken over by some rich Russian kid called Viktor Smolensky, who quickly killed it off. Robert's counted out all his pennies and, unfortunately, he can't afford the TVR 5000M. But for someone with a bulging wallet, there's a great little car sitting in Jens's underground garage in Hamburg. It's the 10th annual VW Bus Get-Together in San Pere Pescador near Spain's Costa Brava. And here you can see old and new VW buses, high and low VW buses, colourful and black and white buses. There are rare and not so rare specimens, some with high tops and pop tops, some made of rust and some of canvas. Test driver Mattis Kurat is in his element. Some of these buses have come a long way to be here today. Mattis came down to Spain from Germany through France with a group of VW bus fans. That was a distance of nearly 1,400 kilometres, mostly on country roads. There are VW buses from the 1980s, 90s and current models, but the star of the show are VW California camper buses, which turn 25 this year. VW buses are notoriously sluggish. Even the turbocharged 1.6-litre diesel in the T3 series only manages 51 kilowatts of power and a maximum speed of 127 kilometres per hour. Drivers of the newer buses here agreed to keep to this limit as a gesture of solidarity. This time, the rain in Spain fell mainly in the mountains, but only for about half an hour, and not enough to block the spectacular view. Volkswagen has been building campers since the 1950s, but it's become increasingly expensive and complicated to outfit them. So the Westphalia's interior was simplified, and VW tossed out many of the extras to create the California. After nearly 3 days on the road, our group was getting close. We crossed the Eastern Pyrenees and headed south toward the Mediterranean. Past abandoned customs houses across the border to Spain. Since it first came out in 1988, the California has remained much the same. The first generation, based on VW's T3 bus, made a hit with its versatility. It was a practical workhorse and much more. Even with the built-in kitchen, it still slept up to 4 people. In the 1990s, VW introduced different versions of the T4 California. It even included a built-in toilet, the first VW camper to have one. The interior's versatility and ease of use have remained unchanged. The current generation of the VW bus, the T5, has been on the road since 2003. A few useful gadgets have been added to the California's camping features, such as the folding chairs stowed inside the tailgate. There's lots more storage, a mini kitchen and still room to sleep 4 people comfortably. Test driver Martis Kurat assumes the VW T5 would outclass the other buses in almost any category. It's faster, more powerful, safer, more comfortable and takes less fuel. But there's one category where he says the VW T3 California wins hands down, and that's the cult factor. It'll take some time before even the T4 achieves that cult status. The last of the rear-drive T3 VW buses were long something of a laughingstock, but now they too have their hardcore of devoted fans.